Hi everybody, my name's Andrew and today I'm driving a 2018 BMW M2. Upon asking a BMW fan what the greatest modern BMW is, their answer would probably be their preferred generation of M3 or perhaps the 1 Series M Coupe. While the M3 was the original M car, these days it's gotten bigger and heavier to the point where a top-spec automatic xDrive car weighs almost 4,000 pounds. In 2011, BMW released the 1M, immediately winning over driving purists with its smaller, lighter nature. And BMW initially planned to build about 2,700 units of the 1M. However, it ended production in 2012, late 2012, with just over 6,000 units sold. So clearly, it was very popular. Then in 2016, came this, the M2. Another truly small, lighter weight rear-wheel drive coupe. And initially the M2 was pretty widely regarded, unfortunately, as a fake M car, mostly due to its non-M engine. However, compare this to the droves of M Sport cars that BMW's come out with since then, or the new 5,000 plus pound M5. And this thing's M characteristics really show. At around 8 inches shorter than the equivalent M3, the M2 feels relatively tiny. Now, of course, it still dwarfs a Z4 or a Miata, but when you compare it to the cars that people have complained about them getting so big, this thing is actually quite small in comparison, and refreshingly so. It also doesn't weigh drastically less than the M3 or M4 of the F80 Gen, but the short wheelbase and the wide stance make this thing handle incredibly well. And it's very easy to position on the road, and overall just feels great. The body is also incredibly well proportioned and looks fantastic in my opinion, especially in this launch color of Long Beach Blue. Furthermore, 2018 is arguably the best year of this car, because if you want the OG M2, before they switched over to the competition and jacked the price and ruined the sound, you have to get a 16 through 18. And the 18 out of all of those is the only one that gets the facelift, or LCI is what BMW calls it, lights and interior trim. The downsides? Well, for one, the back seat back here isn't huge. I mean, this isn't that big of a car, to be fair. And if you put this seat back, I mean, that's my driving position. My knees are firmly wedged in the back of the seat. But even for adults, on shorter trips, it is perfectly manageable. The trunk also isn't huge in the M2. It's a reasonable size, but you're not going to be doing a whole big family road trip in this car anyway. While it's not a real M engine, the N55 3-liter turbocharged straight 6 that's in the original M2 here honestly sounds a lot better than the newer competition and CS variants with the S55. It's got a deeper tone to it, and personally I just prefer it. It also makes about 365 horsepower and 343 foot-pounds of torque in stock form. And while those aren't crazy high numbers anymore, it's perfectly respectable. It's good enough for a 4-second 0 to 60, which is plenty fast. And honestly, these engines can make a ton of power. They're super easily tunable if you so desire. Paired with the N55 is a 6-speed manual transmission in this particular car, although a 6-speed dual clutch was also available. And BMW typically receives some criticism for its manual transmissions not necessarily being the sharpest. And no, this isn't the sharpest manual you'll ever drive in terms of the shifter or the clutch action or anything about it, frankly, but it is one of the easiest manuals I think I've ever driven. It's got automatic rev matching, even in sport mode, and hill hold. So you can drive this car smoothly quite easily. Today, 1M values, when you can even find one, are incredibly strong, with well-kept examples regularly selling for upwards of 60 grand, which is about what this car cost sticker brand new. Initially, M2 prices took a sharp downturn, like most German cars tend to. And the owner of this particular car bought it in 2019 with about 20,000 miles at a pretty significant discount. However, since then, M2 prices have fluctuated a little bit, but for the most part, they've stayed pretty steady. And reasonably nice ones are still selling for around the $40,000 mark, which I think just shows how much this car is actually appreciated at the end of the day, even if it wasn't necessarily initially. Over time, especially as new models are being released, I suspect the M2 will at the very least hold its value around this point. Or maybe it'll end up having a Porsche depreciation curve where it starts to come back up eventually and ends up being over MSRP when it's like 20 years old. The M2 is undoubtedly the most well-rounded and, dare I say, best modern M car, and the market seems to agree with that. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video or found it informative, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for plenty more content to come just like this.